and gentlemen.
Welcome to the show. It's Movie Wire time. Oh, the Movie Wire. Bring the firing squad. Bill, Justin. Give the finger or laugh or smile. It's time to find out. No more waiting. So here we go. The Sultan of Cinema. The gumshoe of review. Here is Justin Henson. Let's start the show. Let's go.
Welcome to the Movie Wire.
Good. Welcome to this week's edition of the Movie Wire. I'm your host, Justin Henson, and welcome to the show. This week we have a big show with 3 big movies to review, all playing in theaters right now. This week on the show, Dance with the Devil in Ryan Coogler's new film, Sinners. Something else is out there in the Legend of Ochi. And finally, everything is based on memory in warfare. We've got a lot to cover this week, so let's jump right in. Ready for my verdict? Let's get into it.
Out of the windows to watch, a roar and a bursting of flame. The Movie Wire Podcast. We need people like me.
The Wire.
And here we go.
Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back in Ryan Coogler's Sinners.
We've been gone a long time. We back now. You twins? Nah, we cousins.
There are legends of people with the gift of making music so true. It can conjure spirits from the past and the future. This gift can bring fame and fortune.
Well, somebody take me in your eyes.
But it also can pierce the veil between life and death.
Listen here, this ain't no house party. Shit. Y'all ready to drink? Y'all ready to sweat till y'all stink?
You want some?
You keep dancing with the devil.
Careful, boy. You gonna bite off more than you can chew.
One day he's gonna follow you home.
We got us a problem, y'all. What the hell going on?
Oh, we heard tale of a party. This world already left you for dead. I can save you from your fate.
You don't need no saving.
Yes, you do.
And you are?
I am. Your way out. Don't cry. He's all better now.
Yes, I lied to you. I don't believe in magic. Ghosts, demons. Just power. Somebody please take me.
We gonna kill every last one of you.
Written and directed by the talented writer and director of the Creed and Black Panther films comes his newest film and, dare I say, most ambitious film based on his previous works to date. Now, this is one of the most challenging things to do when taking a worn-out premise and make it feel engaging and fresh again. Especially when we have characters or monsters, if you will, like vampires that are the driver of the film. Tarantino made an attempt with From Dusk Till Dawn, focusing on the characters and making our vampires situational and not the primary focus. Here, Coogler takes an idea and flips the situational aspect to make it about the messaging, where Sinners almost takes the Tarantino concept but flips it in reverse, where instead of having our characters go to a nightclub full of vampires years after getting to know our ensemble of characters, our vampires go to the nightclub, as we never lose focus of our characters in mere dangerous, bloody, thirsty situations. Now, while I enjoyed From Dusk Till Dawn, as we get into the final act of that film, that's where the script flips into a pure bloodbath monster movie. Here, Coogler never gets tempted on having shot after shot of monster mayhem and gore. It's properly balanced that when we do have a moment of violence or gore, Coogler has to balance it with a human element, a human touch, if you will, whether that's a form of dialogue or an act or even a reaction from a character that shows fear mixed with empathy. Coogler never treats this movie as a monster movie, but rather more of an eerie drama with a message of cultural assimilation, utilizing our characters as examples of cultural dominance, groups looking to overpower another's culture. Ryan Coogler focuses on the stain of our past, the ugly segregation of the time of 1932, where identical twins of World War I veterans Smoke and Stack, both played here brilliantly by Michael B. Jordan, who returned to the Mississippi Delta after years in Chicago working for Al Capone. Using money they stole from gangsters, they purchased a sawmill from racist landowner Hogwood, played by David Maldonado, to start a juke joint for the local black community. Their cousin Sammy, played by Miles Canton, an aspiring guitarist who wields a fancy-looking guitar that just by the mere looks of it looks supernatural. Sammy joins them despite opposition from his pastor father, who warns that blues music is supernatural. And we've seen movies like this, that the current music could be altering of the children, they're the devil's music, it's the sin of the world, of rock and roll blues. We've heard it all before, but here Coogler makes it up front and center. And one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when we have an early scene with Sammy, who picks up his guitar and plays a song he wrote with his dad. And as Sammy plays, Coogler gives us a visual of the progression and integration of blues music over times to give us an example of cultural relevance on how it impacted the progression of our culture. Now, we have seen movies past of talking about the rock and roll is the devil, the blues is the devil, whatever it may be. But I love the fact that Coogler puts this up front and center and shows us how one piece of an example of music is relevant to the next piece of music, how it's the inspiration to growing our culture. But when it comes to blues in this movie, when it comes to the visual example of music over time, Coogler later follows up with a line in the film stating, "They love our music, they just hate us." These are elements that Coogler, we can tell, wanted to put personal touch of realization for the viewer. But also it is done with not only a personal feel, but with such visual beauty that it's hard not to see how personal this music was to Coogler. Now, Sinners also borders a musical monster telling, with the blues being at the forefront. The written lyrics and the musical performance are hard not to get wrapped into. And when we take lyrics and a musical performance, that is also more of the forte of the movie that viewers will take away from. But we can't skip past the actual score by Ludwig Göransson, who manages to get the assignment of integrating sounds of the South blues and the theme that edges around psychological danger versus loud drums and cymbals to gain attention. Göransson's compositions lure the audience at full attention. It's beautiful, mysterious, and at times chilling. It will also be an absolute shame if we don't see this come around for best score come awards time. All the elements work here in unison to create not just a piece of entertainment, but I found myself drawn into the time, the setting, and our characters. Each and every character here has a stake, and we really feel for. Even at times there are certain characters I wanted to spend more time with. This tends to be my nitpick flaw of the movie, and that's just me. I wanted more of the chemistry shown in the film between all the characters, but in the little moments we have with our characters interacting together, Coogler does a fine job at making these relationships relevant. These characters in any other element would seem surface level, but we have this lingering feeling that there's more depth to these characters, and this is fantastic writing from Coogler, as he gives the audience just enough to really be engaged and bought into these characters. And if I were to continue my rant on the once, there are relationships I do wish we did spend more time with, including Smoke and his estranged wife Annie, played by Mami Masaku, and Steak with his ex-friend Mary, played by Haley Steinfeld. Coogler does a great job making small parts feel big, and he does it through proper character direction of showing a timid reaction of emotion. Coogler leads the charge on making these performances subtle but powerful at the same time. But again, when it comes to my nitpicking, when it comes to our twins' past loves, this is where it feels short-lived, where it feels like it should have gone further and added more build to the relationships here to amplify the stakes. It's not that we don't feel for these relationships, we really do, and this is where my selfish nitpick that between Mary and Annie, I feel we should have gotten more screen time that's noticeable compared to the rest of the supporting cast. Ryan Coogler, I can tell, knows this was a tricky balance, and I can also tell that maybe there was more to the screenplay that wasn't used, mainly for our relationship build between our twins and their loves. But in the moment of shooting, he knew he had to keep with a consistent balance and to keep with the pacing. It's hard to fault him for that, but I will say that during a mid-credit scene, that it almost makes up for partial bits of this, which again puts an exclamation mark on the final goodbye, if you will, that feels deeper to Coogler than what the movie truly explains, but rather represents. Sinners is a movie given the topics it covers between racism, culture attack, vampires, and death to redemption. Beautiful shouldn't be the term, but when it comes to storytelling and messaging, beautiful is the perfect term for this, because we can see Coogler's inner emotions appear on screen in a vampire movie. And to me, that is beautiful filmmaking. Sinners is a well-crafted movie that throughout its entirety, we can tell Coogler put his emotional and personal touches to give it meaning. Even though classed and marketed as a horror movie, Coogler makes it a beautiful movie in his attempt at bringing the messaging and his personal touches in the characters on screen. It's as beautiful as it is ugly, and the way Coogler can mix the two and do it effectively is masterclass. Sinners never aims for cheap scares of monsters, but rather stirs the pot to bring scares to the surface, fears to the surface of the past, present, and future of cultural control. And there are two things in movies that just screams bittersweet and just feel good. And one is a good Nazi kill, and the second is to see Michael B. Jordan unleashing a Tommy gun onto the KKK members. And those just scream satisfying. Sinners isn't a monster movie, but rather one of the best movies of the year so far. I'm giving Sinners 3.5 stars.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Now, before we get into the rest of the show, make sure you check out my reviews for movies that just became available to rent, buy, or stream now.
Now available on video cassette.
This summer, no one is safe, including the audience that paid to see it in Hell of a Summer. That can't be silly, but the cast is the only ones in on the joke before the audience, receiving 2 stars. Anthony Hopkins plays a cat and mouse game with Bill Skarsgård in a locked luxury vehicle in Locked, which was in the moment entertaining until the climax where, given the 2 fine actors, we should have gotten more, receiving 2.5 stars. The future favors the brave in Captain America Brave New World, and the brave was the ones that bought a ticket to yet another meh Marvel movie, receiving 2 stars. Human Traffickers Beware, it's another Jason Statham movie that we all know what's gonna happen. In A Working Man, here's a hint. He beats up and kills a lot of people. A Working Man received 2 stars. Today's the day in a movie that teases suspense but ends up being an emotional reflection, and I was fine with it, but others may not seem it my way. In The Woman in the Yard, receiving 2.5 stars. Porky Pig and Daffy Duck are Earth's only hope in their first big screen team-up in The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie that was loony as it was touching and entertaining, receiving 3.5 stars. He's Dying to Save Mankind in Mickey 17 that consistently battles itself for substance versus spectacle, receiving 2.5 stars. When the odds are unbelievable, show the world you're unbreakable in The Unbreakable Boy that actually shows vulnerabilities and humanity, and that makes this a hopeful and happy tearjerker, receiving 3 stars. Everyone Dies and That's fucked up in The Monkey, which I wish I said it's fucked up more in this movie, receiving 2.5 stars. Meet Nathan Kane, he can't feel pain in Novocaine, that after we get the premise, the film doesn't do anything with it, but becomes just a mere novelty, receiving 2 stars. A Little Bear goes a long way, and that's the truth. In Paddington in Peru, even though innocent enough, this bear isn't challenged enough to do something different, receiving 2.5 stars. Espionage is deadly, marriage can be deadlier. And again, ain't that the truth? In Black Babe, which was a stylish mystery thriller and so far one of the best movies of the year, receiving 3.5 stars. And finally, Don't Forget to Breathe, from utter boredom in Last Breath, that received 2 stars. You can check out those reviews of my previous episodes, and while you do, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe, and please don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Now, before I get into the last set of reviews, there is a podcast that's become one of my weekly listening routines to give me a mental break from the stresses of work, and that is with J and K over the F My Worklife Podcast. Make sure you follow and subscribe. The link to that show will be in the description of this episode. But let's hear from J and K over the F My Worklife Podcast now.
Have you ever had a bad day at work?
Well, the F My Worklife Podcast is perfect for you.
Host J and K share listeners' entertaining stories from the workplace, which may have you thinking you don't have it so bad after all.
Find F My Worklife on your favorite podcast platform.
In a remote village on the island of Carpathia, a shy girl is raised to fear an elusive animal species known as Ochi. But when she discovers a wounded baby Ochi has been left behind, she escapes on a quest to bring him home in The Legend of Ochi.
On foot, boys.
Dad, are we going to see one?
Stay close by my side.
I was born on a small island in the Black Sea. People say it's a dangerous place. There are bears and wolves and something else. Something people fear is much worse.
Your parents have offered you to this cause. They say, here, make something of my boy. Protect us. Save us. We are cursed with a wickedness.
The Ochi.
It's okay. I won't hurt you. You're not like they say.
Yuri, what is this?
I'm taking him home.
She's been kidnapped. Let's go.
Are you hungry?
They'll be torn apart. They can't be our pets.
He's my friend.
Yuri! I'm coming for you!
Stay close by my side. I can talk to you! I'm not asking you to understand.
Yuri, we're your family!
Just trust me.
You know, there once was a time where The Legend of Ochi could have tapped into the imagination of uncomfortable thoughts and feelings that we once saw from films like The Neverending Story, and even sneaked its way into the minds of kids as being taboo, where they question, should I be watching this? And that was prior to the PG-13 rating in 1984, where Red Dawn was the first movie to receive that PG-13 rating. This is a movie that's not too far off from questionable material, The Legend of Ochi at times baffled me how it beat the censors on not being PG-13. We have cigarette smoking, we have the word shit being spoken, we have an older woman being held at gunpoint by a group of teenagers, we have kids shooting at legendary animals. But let's take the taboo and the censors out of it. Now, I pre-screened this on Monday, and I have yet to look at anything online after or even before I attended the film. But I can make a pure guess on what some critics will be fooled with is the cinematography and the beautiful settings we see on screen, which will get no arguments from me. The scenery and the beautiful of Ochi is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. But this is where many will be fooled by this movie. Our writer-director Isaiah Saxon knows this movie is all over the place, that he has to spend a majority of the movie with beautiful shots or shots overlooking the beautiful scenery. And at times it is stunning. Even at times the scenery becomes more of a character focus than our actual characters, which I would have preferred 90 minutes of just this environment than spending any time with our actual fucking characters who are absolutely uninteresting and at times even unpleasant on screen. I can tell that Isaiah Saxon is reaching into his inner Wes Anderson in a family movie setting, and some may appreciate that, and for some this movie may resonate for them, but others will be completely put off by it. Me? I wasn't just put off by it, I was waiting for an army of Ochis to pop down from the ceiling and put an end to me. The Legend of Ochi stars Helena Zegel as Yuri, who is raised by her father Maxim, played by William Dafoe, along with, I guess, her somewhat brother Petro, played by Stranger Things and Ghostbuster actor Finn Wolfhard. When it comes to Wolfhard, this must have been the easiest payday in his career, given he has a decent enough screen time, but literally has under 10 speaking lines. But hey, his name must look good in the credits or on the marketing or on the posters. Somebody needs to be that smart friend to Wolfhard's life and tell him to get a better agent to crescendo his career with Hell of a Summer. And now this crap, this isn't doing him any favors, but rather lining pockets of those that want his name in the marketing. Now, going back, the premise of The Legend of Ochi is Yuri, the daughter of Maxim, again here played by Dafoe, along with again adopted son Petro, go on a hunt for the Ochi, which if legend serves, is a dangerous species that are bloodthirsty and kill. This is where Dafoe, for some odd reason, puts on a gladiator-type outfit that nobody else wears. I don't get it! The movie doesn't make it relevant really known, and I don't care to even deep dive into it. It's like the only reason Dafoe did this movie, his agent presented him with the script saying, hey, I got this family movie for you. It might be great for you. It might be great to have a vast audience see you on screen. Dafoe comes back and says, only if I can bring my Viking armor. Done deal! Now, eventually, of course, we get a cute baby Ochi that Yuri befriends, and of course, without building up any sort of reasoning, our writer-director Saxon just assumes we know the formula. The creature loss, the reuniting of the family ties, whatever. And that Yuri wants to rescue and bring our little Ochi back to his family. This is the part of the movie where we should see it follow the same wilderness formula of peril, danger in the woods, situational entertainment. But we don't. And usually I would applaud a film that goes against the formula. But when we finally get a scene that will be one of the two memorable scenes, and not for good reasons, because they both involve youth firing a gun at either an animal or a person. One of the scenes I'm talking about is where Yuri escapes her home to bring Ochi back home and stops into a supermarket to pick up food, which is confusing because we don't know how she got muddy and her clothes seem to be cleaned up automatically in later scenes. But then a customer witnesses Ochi and all chaos breaks loose. This is where a young, humble teenage cashier brings out a shotgun conveniently from under the cash register and holds it towards Ochi and Yuri. Now, The Legend of Ochi is set in a fictional island of Carpathia that blends the old and the new. We have the countryside, we have vehicles, we have contemporary things. Many won't grasp this at first because it just looks like an old-fashioned Norwegian town. And I guess William Dafoe dressed in a gladiator or Viking attire or whatever the fuck he's dressed as should give us some hints. But to me, he comes across like a loon at a Norwegian town. He's like the town drunk. But this movie to me screamed Norwegian filmmaking. In this fictional town, the crime rate must have been huge to have a teenager wield a shotgun at a small town grocery store. store. But the movie never explores that. The movie just gives us visuals of pure violence. This is where, like I said at the beginning, this is a movie past its time, where it could have been something that was traumatic at the time, say in the 80s, where there was a question mark of what's appropriate to kids versus teens versus adults. For some, this movie might stick into the memory as watching traumatic scenes of what was deemed family films past, like the death of the horse in The Never-Ending Story. But here, we don't get that much of a connection with our characters to make it a traumatic memory. We get Saxon take our characters from scenic shot to scenic shot, with our characters merely just being there, with no depth or development, or even something we care about other than attempting to just ride on the cuteness factor of our Ochi. And that's a problem here, because there's a good length of time where Ochi isn't on screen. And Saxon has to attempt to make us care about these characters and attempt symbolism of family. And it just doesn't work. Because the dialogue is so brief and emotionless, we can tell there is no attempt at building something of relevance. It's almost like Saxon wrote a screenplay the night before the studio meeting and just said, ignore the screenplay. I have a mystical cute creature that we can market. I can attempt an adventure story, but don't ask me how. And by the end of it, it will be a family message. But what Saxon didn't include in his studio pitch is an army of gun-wielding teens, gross images, an infected arm that made me want to vomit, William Dafoe cosplaying, a cigarette-smoking mom, women held at gunpoint, and family members that abandon or neglect their kids. I can buy into the fantasy world. I can buy into a recycled formula. But what fantasy world does Saxon dream up where he markets it as a family movie, a PG movie, where we have guns, cigarettes, animals shot, and an older woman held at gunpoint, abandonment with no fucking context to justify it? Who in the fuck was this movie even made for? This isn't a kid's movie. Teens may be bored with it, and adults will be looking around the theater wondering if they are just out of their element in their taste of movies. Just prior to this review, I called Sinner an ugly movie of topics that's beautifully done. Here is a movie that looks beautiful but is just downright ugly. Saxon doesn't know where to take his own material and make it feel justified. If we cut out all the long shots, the scenic shots, or the shots of just our characters saying nothing, we have a 30-minute movie. Many critics and audiences will be fooled by the style and the look of Saxon's landscape and vision and his almost Wes Anderson take on a family film. But this film is ugly. It's gross. It lacks content. It lacks imagination. It bangs on the cute creature that we lose for a good chunk of the middle, with no characters that we care about or even feel a stake with. The Legend of Ochi is a movie that not only lacks proper vision, but lacks any substance, moral value, and exploration of the world it's set up to create. The landscape is beautiful, but it's not about what you shoot on a camera. It's the stories behind it. And Saxon has no story to be told that we haven't seen before, except William Dafoe in a gladiator outfit. But don't fact check me. There might have been other movies he wore the same outfit. I might be wrong. The Legend of Ochi should have been called The Legend of Ouchie, because this will go down in memory as one of the most painful films I have sat through this year. I'm giving The Legend of Ochi 1.5 stars. A platoon of Navy SEALs embark on a dangerous mission in Ramadi, Iraq, with the chaos and brotherhood of war retold through their memories of the events in warfare.
How's it going?
Going well. That's that new guy energy.
Oh, he's back. That's the fourth fucking time he's done that.
Is he peeking at probing?
Peeking with serious intent to probe.
Alpha 2, we might have guys starting to move on our position.
Copy, we're getting a buildup of activity here too.
Yeah, I definitely see weapons at this point.
Yeah, we have definite massing.
Redman 08 is profane. We're seeing activity converging to your north and south.
This is Frogman 6 Romeo. We need evac at our last known position.
We have severely wounded. Who's the severely wounded? It's not you. It's me. Who is it?
No, it's not you. No one is it.
Copy, 1, we're in contact 2.
You coming to you or you coming to us?
Stand by. We'll let you know when we're inbound.
Let's move!
Here's the plan.
EA 5 minutes, over.
The scouts are gonna lead us out.
and I'm bringing up the rear. Pop smoke.
Smoke out.
We are all coming back.
OP1, they are en route to you.
3 minutes out! 3 minutes!
Eyes on me and only me. Has anyone looked at you?
I'm fucked up.
2 minutes out! 2 minutes!
Where are you guys?
Look for the blood and the smoke.
Multiple bad guys trying to get to our position.
Inbound! Inbound! Find cover! 1 minute out!
We have enemy on our building and all surrounding buildings.
Roger that. Stand by. Going hot.
You gotta get ready, man. This is gonna hurt.
On my count. 1, 2, 3.
Now, open and honest, I'm not a big war movie guy. I respect them, I respect the stories being told, and more often than not, I give a good review to them, mainly because the filmmakers that do tackle these true stories know they have to have a level of detail, respect, and a story that is impactful. And that's why we usually see war movies come up during awards time, is because they are respectful, well-made, and have a story told with great detail. But 99% of war movies for me is a one and done, mostly because the filmmakers land the impact and it can be an emotional impact at times, and I don't want to revisit that. I can respect it and I love what I'm being told on screen as a level of respect, but it's something I just can't mentally revisit. Films surrounding war have to land an impacted message, and once that message is landed, it's hard for me to go back to it because it lingers in my memory, mainly because, again, it's well done. From the outside, Warfare distinguishes itself by foregoing traditional war movie tropes. There are no heroic speeches, no glorified combat sequences, and no overt political commentary. Instead, the film focuses solely on the raw, unfiltered experience of the soldiers in midst of chaos. This approach is the main point of Warfare, its structure, which unfolds in real time, allowing the audience to experience the tension, confusion, and terror alongside the characters. Warfare is a powerful new movie by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza, both directed and written by, with Mendoza helping create a movie based on his experience during the Iraq War as a Navy SEAL. And we can tell Garland puts his personal touches on it, but Mendoza is a man in charge to really guide Garland on the real events that unfolded. But at the same time, we can see some of Garland's personal touches to build tension. From movies that we've seen from under his belt, we can see those touches here, from Annihilation to Ex Machina, and this is his third film to land on this show, including 2022's Men, last year's mediocre Civil War, and now, of course, we have Warfare, which is told solely based on the memories of Mendoza of an encounter he and his platoon experienced on November 19th, 2006, in wake of the Battle of Ramadi. The movie, by the time the credits rolled, we can tell the movie is driven by not just Mendoza, but by the testimonials of his living platoon members. Warfare is told in real time from the start of the main credits. The decision to focus on a single, unremarkable day in the life of soldiers underscores the randomness and brutality of war. There are no grand battles or sweeping narratives. Instead, the film zooms in and focuses on the stakes of survival, navigating through rubble, managing injuries, standing alongside body parts, and making split-second decisions that can mean the difference between life and death. This focus on the immediate experience of combat allows this movie to explore the themes of brotherhood, sacrifice, and the psychological toll of warfare. The soldiers are portrayed not as invincible heroes, but as flawed, vulnerable individuals grappling with fear and guilt and the weight of their actions. The humanization of the characters make their experiences all the more poignant and relatable. Garland takes his knack of building tension and translate that to an actual story that's being told from first-hand accounts by soldiers, including Mendoza. Warfare starts out in mere silence that will translate and crescendo to the acts of war in the progression of the film. During these moments of silence, I was swept into not just the actions per se, but the emotions that we can read on our soldiers' faces and body reactions. We get soldiers here, but the human element is up front and center and never overly done. Now, Warfare has a big ensemble. It has a vast cast, which no character really stands out, and rightfully so, and that's to show the point of brotherhood, which in this kind of movie I appreciate, because each and every character, each and every soldier we care for given the circumstance of war. Up until the final credits, we get the real-life soldiers that most are faceless alongside our cast. Each and every person in this film that portrayed by an actor is never over another. Each one feels balanced and just as important as the other, which is something we really haven't successfully seen in a war movie, because most of the time we have to have the characters help move the story along. But here, the story is merely just survival. All of the characters have to survive the situation that they're in, and that's the point that Garland and Mendoza have to stick to. But I do want to give more credit to Mendoza, given the assumption of the final product of the film, that Mendoza had a big say in how this movie should play out. Again, if I were to assume, given Garland's past works, that Mendoza is the main driver of this writing and this direction, it's just Garland guiding him on how to shoot it. Warfare kept me on the edge of my seat when it comes to drawing me into the human element and realism of the moment of warfare, where in one movie-going experience, as an audience, as a viewer, we can all sit as one and sit quietly in silence with our portrayal of soldiers and be as close to the traumatic events with reading our soldiers' faces as possible. We can feel our soldiers' emotion, and that translates to the viewer, where we have no choice but to sit in silence and just cross our fingers and hope for a good outcome. Now, Warfare does a lot of good things right, but here's the thing that I really did respect about this movie is the fact that it doesn't use a musical score. Warfare doesn't have a powerful music score to enhance the experience, nor does it need it. It's either the sound of breath, bombs, guns, or just pure silence, in which our sound team, Nick Fremantle, Glenn Fremantle, and Deo James, deserve to get a nomination come award time when it comes to sound editing. The sound editing and effects are absolutely top-notch here, where there are times I had to jump out of my seat and my anxiety was hitting the roof. I was invested to what was happening on screen. This is the most realism you can get from a war movie in recent memory. We are put in the shoes cinematically to these soldiers, from the direction to the sound, where in the midst of war, soldiers can go from silence to utter chaos. Now, Warfare is a hard movie to review because the emotional elements are there. The movie is incredibly well made, and it solely presents itself as an experience, not necessarily a progression of a story being told, but rather a film that wants an audience to understand the stakes of war. And for a 90-minute movie in real time, I'm sure our soldiers felt this 90 minutes was a lifetime. It's an experience that I'm glad I witnessed, but at the same time, just like our soldiers, it's not one that I wish to experience again, because it will be lodged in my memory for times to come. And after an experience like Warfare, in the world we live in today, we tend to look past an important element, especially in film reviews about war, and that's giving a big thank you to the brave men and women that serve. If you're listening, thank you for all the sacrifices that you have made to your own lives and your families. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm giving Warfare 3.5 stars. And that's a cut on this week's edition of The Movie Wire. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for your support. You can also show support by following me on Instagram, Blue Sky, X, Thread, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Letterboxd at Movie Wire Show. And please don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you haven't yet checked out the Cult-Worthy Cinema Podcast and the Movie Wire's crossover show, Back to the Balcony, make sure you do. Again, the link of that show will be in the description of this episode. Until next week, do me a favor. Make sure you stay for after the credits to show the respect to those that put their blood, sweat, and tears into making a feature film, and support your local movie theaters.
Thank you for bringing me to the movies.
Let the credits roll. We say farewell. Join us next time. We'll have more tales to tell.